Welcome and thank you all for joining this webinar. So let's give it some more time and let's get started pretty quickly. Thank you all for joining. Welcome and thank you all for joining. So I think it's time we get started. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our attendees from across the globe. Thank you for being here and taking the time to join our webinar on Unleashing Change Impact Mining for SAP DevOps. This is Jacob, the Partnerships Manager at KTern. I'm happy to be joining you all for our monthly webinar. And for this webinar, we've joined hands with our global technology partner and an industry leader in RPA, UiPath, to show you how you can achieve risk and bug-free SAP releases at reduced cost and time. All the materials from our previous webinars can be accessed from website KTern.AI, so do feel free to check out our content there. A few things to note before we get started. The session will be recorded and all registrants will get a copy of the recording and the slides by next week. It will also be available on our website at a later point in time. All participants are muted upon entry, so please ask your questions via the Q&A tab and we'll address them at the end. And please avoid using the chat tab to ask the questions. To make this webinar more fun and engaging, we've also got a few polls in between, so please do participate in them. So here are the things that will be covered as part of this webinar today. After the general introduction, we'll be moving on to talk about the current state of SAP change and release management. Our speakers will also be telling you how you can achieve intelligent SAP DevOps with UiPath and KTern.AI. Followed by a live product demo showcasing the platforms in action. We'll be ending this webinar with the benefits of what was showcased today and giving away exclusive goodies. So please stay tuned till the end and see how you can grab them. And we'll be finishing off with a round of question and answers. Now to introduce our speakers for today, Lev Kushner from UiPath, Director of SAP Product Management, is responsible for guiding the success of UiPath for enterprise applications such as SAP. Business consultancy and product management are Lev's two key professional passions. He enjoys meeting and working with many different people across different interests. Lev feels he can easily connect with people originating from different backgrounds due to his well-developed communication skills and natural curiosity. We also have the head of product growth at KTern.AI, Vignesh with us. He drives the growth operations and corporate development at KTern.AI. His thought leadership on SAP-led digital transformations as a service has a global influence with avid followers in the SAP ecosystem. Process and discipline builds the inspiring personality in him, and he believes that people and technology are his driving force for being out there to contribute in the SaaS world. On that note, I would like to hand over the session to Vignesh. Vignesh, over to you.
All right, Jacob, thanks for the introduction. And hello, everyone. Greetings to all from wherever you're connecting. It's a pleasure to have you guys on the webinar. And let me get started by a quick overview about KTern for everybody who just stumbled upon this webinar. So KTern is actually, probably move to the laser pointer. Yeah. So KTern is actually a digital transformation platform which we have built focused on SAP landscapes. And it is an SAP validated product and it is listed as part of SAP Store. The main aim of KTern is to democratize this SAP-led digital transformation all over the globe. And we have used multiple technology levers to build this platform. It is basically built on 20 years of tribal knowledge onto which the machine learning algorithms work. And we've got a no-code, non-invasive approach towards connecting to an SAP system and providing insights and helping enterprises move from their existing ECC landscape or any landscape to S/4HANA, and also stay digitally transformed by continuous and purposeful value which we provide. And this entire platform works on hyper automation. That means across different levers, across different personas, there is an automation potential which customer system integrators and SAP can benefit from by using this particular KTern platform. To dive a bit deeper into the platform, it has got 5 digital streams. It's called as maps, projects, process, labs, and minds. And as we know, we are here talking about digital minds, and that will be a prime focus, where we'll be focusing about how you can use digital minds of KTern to help in SAP DevOps and help in release intelligence. And the platform is very agile, and it is also plug and play. That allows the platform to have multiple integrations across the SAP native products, as well as the leading partner products. And in this case, we are delighted to have UiPath with us in terms of depicting this particular use case, where we're going to talk about release intelligence and how KTern and UiPath together can make SAP changes and releases very seamless and very risk-free. With this, I will hand it over to Lev, who will explain and talk about UiPath. Over to you, Lev.
Thank you, Vignesh. Hi, everyone from my side. So now you have seen KTern platform. Let me speak about UiPass platform. So here, when you are thinking about UiPass, everyone will get in his mind, UiPass is for robotic. Yes, it's correct. But guys, it's much more. It's much bigger. This is a platform covering all in every needs of SAP enterprise. So it has 5 big pillars, I would say, yeah. And the first topic is about discovery, yeah. So during SAP projects, yeah, during testing, during robotic, we are thinking about to discover automation opportunities. So here we have an offering in discovery space with a process mining, task mining, and today, guess what? We are going to speak about change impact mining. This is to discover. This is about to understand what needs to be tested. Then we are coming to the build phase. Build phase, it's all about automation. So it's about automation on user interfaces. It's automation of non-visual interfaces. It's support with document understanding. It's support of your automation operation. Yeah, so all kind of automation can be performed for with help of UiPath. Then coming to the next topic, as I have mentioned before, it's robotic process automation. So we are still on previous slide. So it's about robotic automation. It's about test automation. For testing purposes, you would need to work with the data services, test data management. I mean, automation can run unattended. Very often customers, SAP customers are running in Citrix remote environment. So all these pieces are possible, or the pieces are covered. As of today, this is the most complete SAP automation platform, and it's a platform which is completely certified by SAP for UI automation, for API automation, and integration with SAP Solution Manager. So this is my first entry picture. This is a big picture, what everything is available. And today, you will see it on the next slide, we will speak actually about testing. We will put our focus on UiPath Test Suite. UiPath Test Suite, once more, is an open tool, open platform, open solution, how you call it, which allows you to connect third-party world with the world of UiPath. You will be able to find here all different ALM tools, such as SAP Solution Manager, Atlassian Jira, ServiceNow. And here we have also a seamless integration with KTern platform, what Vignesh has just shown. Yeah, so here it's a platform available in the cloud, available on premise, and connecting with the world of UiPath. So here, just last two seconds, in UiPath Studio, we're going to build our test cases. UiPath Orchestrator is responsible for test case scheduling and execution, and UiPath robots. You can imagine this is an agent, this is an execution machine which is going to run the test case. Yeah, and during the demo, we will come back also to these pictures that you know where we are. Great. So now let's speak about challenges in SAP world. So back to you, Vignesh.
Thank you, Lev. Thank you for the company overview. And before I could get started, we've got a huge pour out, and I hope I'm audible and my voice is sound and legible. So if that is so, I could get started. Jacob. So if all is good, I could get started. Maybe Jacob, could you confirm?
Yeah.
We can hear you well.
All right, awesome. So if that is so, then let me get started. Now, talking about the status quo, I should first talk about the entire world, where the digital transformation is taking the entire world by storm. And we are living in a post-pandemic world where there are huge challenges posed by the changing market conditions and ever-growing customer demands. Now, the main objective of enterprises is to stay agile and to stay digitally transformed. And most of the enterprises have realized that it is not just about moving to a digital core like S/4HANA, but it is also about staying agile and staying digitally transformed, which can only happen when the business is adaptable and it is open to any kind of digital initiatives or change management that happens within the particular landscape. Now, with the rise of multiple process mining models and with huge access to ERP data set, tools like Signovia and SAP Business Process Intelligence have made it very easier for CIOs, especially, to have access to real-time insights and analysis on how exactly their landscape is and how exactly they could optimize their processes. But it just poses one question. All of these insights and all of these need to be agile and to kind of adapt to changing needs just poses one question. It means be open to change. And if I say change, it is actually a love-hate relationship when it comes to SAP landscapes, because a typical CIO on an average can go through multiple releases, and each of these releases can be of varying sizes, a major release, a minor release, or an emergency release, or there could be changes because of periodic updates from SAP. And any change is actually a potential disruptor to the business, a disruptor in a way that it could make the positive impact or the negative impact. So there's always this risk of breaking whatever has been working so far in the production system whenever a change is moved from your development to quality and then to production. And changes can happen in any formats. It can be a simple movement of transport request. It can be a change with installing an add-on. It can be an upgrading to a feature pack. It can be installation of an SAP node, or it can be a huge transformation project, such as moving from ECC to S/4HANA or upgrading the versions of S/4HANA, like SAP has recommended, where SAP suggests you stay updated in terms of the feature releases which S/4HANA makes. Now, with this thing, all of these changes, when I get to the ground level, they get captured within transport requests. And a transport request can affect a system across 4 dimensions. It is the process, which is your bloodline, your configurations, your master data, the way you have developed your customizing data, your processes. Number 2, your investments, which could span back to over a decade, your rise of objects and your custom core objects, and your business users. They are the actual users of your SAP landscape, so it could affect them. And finally, last but not least, your test cases. And these test cases are the ones that kind of lets you, as a release manager or a release person, to understand, okay, I am good enough to make this release. So this release will help me in terms of making what I want to do. And with that note, let me get started and let me get deeper into how a challenge happens when it comes to moving your transport from your production, from your development to production. Now, there should be a poll that should pop up right now, because before I get into the challenges that happens in a release, I thought there should be a poll asking what is a major challenge in SAP releases? Is it identifying an impacted business process, or de-risking the change management in terms of user adoption, or is it about identifying the testing scope, or the easiest answer would be all of the above? I'll give it a minute before I move on to the next slide, where I talk about challenges faced in a typical enterprise release.
Okay, let's see the results, guys. I'm curious.
Me too. All right, we've got enough data, and let me move on to the next slide, which talks about how a traditional release landscape looks. Traditionally speaking, we've got release teams working on the SAP landscape, and it goes in a phase-wise approach where there is planning and designing, there's development and configuration, there's testing, and finally releases. But every time there's a release, it can be a mere movement of a transport request, or it can be a huge countrywide rollout, or an enhancement to a process, or something taken out from process mining tools like Celonis or Signovia in terms of optimizing a business process. It affects three major parts. You've got the people, your end users or stakeholders getting affected. And it doesn't actually mean the business end users. It also means people involved in the entire release or the transformation. That means your functional to technical handoffs, your development team to the testing team handoff, and finally the end users, your business process owners. There's always utter chaos, confusion, and uncertainty in terms of what this release is, what it could do, and who are the major stakeholders who could get affected. And when it comes to process, it's even worse, where there could be breaking changes, which was not intended at all as part of this particular release. And there could be crucial business processes that could go broke because of something which was present in one of those transports. And most of all, it might call for an emergency release or an emergency fix, which any release team hates. And finally, talking about tools or the productivity when it comes to having a traditional DevOps landscape means ineffective testing or near zero automated testing. And there's nothing revolving around the change or the transports that are getting involved as part of this particular release. And most of all, increased time and cost when it comes to phasing this entire transformation or this release movement. And I kind of zeroed in on three major factors that attribute to a successful release. It is time, scope, and quality. Of course, the middle part, the cost, is something which is quite obvious, but it is time, scope, and quality. Every time there's a release, and these three are like mutually inversely proportional to each other. So the business might ask for a quicker release or an emergency fix to address a particular business operation, and the release team or the quality team might not want that because they might not want to compromise on the quality. So it actually means when you focus on time, you could be compromising on the quality and the scope. When you focus on the scope, you could be compromising on the time, because if the business wants an immediate release, the scope gets toned down to the minimum, because quality is something which can never be compromised. And if a business wants a huge change, It also means the time frame or the release window will also be very huge, because that's exactly how things work when you make a release. With all of these questions, we have built something called as the Intelligent SAP DevOps, which is a turnkey solution which we have brought out to you. Now, let me talk a bit more about what we are about to show in the coming slides and in the coming product demo. So we have taken a traditional SAP landscape, which hasn't got any kind of automation, and we have plugged our turnkey solution into this entire thing as part of our intelligent DevOps landscape. Now, this would mean you've got a traditional three-system landscape of development, quality, and production. So this turnkey package, which involves KTern and UiPath Test Manager, will be connected to your development system. That's where most of your transport requests originate, and your quality system. That is most likely a pre-production system where all of your business configurations or your business data resides. So there is this RFC connection or an SAP native way of connecting to your SAP landscapes, and the platform will look for the transport request of your choice, and it will start performing the analysis. And there is this process mining model within the platform that helps understand what kind of impact these transports will have on your business, your process, your stakeholders, your rights of objects, and most of all, your testing. And the testing, which is the very crucial part, comes into picture with UiPath, which has a native integration within KTern. And here's where all of your test cases get automated. So it is quite turnkey, and it can be fitted into any landscape, and it is quite non-invasive too. That actually means you could be saving lots and lots of time and lots of effort in how you go about having this as part of your SAP landscape. With this, you've got your same planning, your development, your testing. The only difference is that you've got this package of KTern and UiPath Test Manager together that would allow you to foresee what are the processes that are getting impacted, what are the who are the business users who are getting affected, or the power users, or the business process owners who should be part of this entire release management or the change management, so that I can have a bottom to top hierarchy in terms of go live or no go live decisions. And most of all, you have a clear insight about what are my impact in terms of price of objects, in terms of process, and in terms of testing, so that I can freeze on the scope. And I've got a clear scope when it comes to testing. It is not a test all mentality where I test everything, but with this turnkey solution, I've got a clear clarity about, hey, these are my transport requests, these are the test cases that are getting affected, these are my business users who might get impacted. I might have to consider them as part of the go, no go decision. And I've got a super solid release where I have a complete control, transparency, and visibility over what will happen if these bunch of transport requests, big or small, once 100 or 200, gets moved to the production system. And with this, let me hand it over to Lev, who will explain the product concept and who will dig deeper into the product demo too. Over to you, Lev.
Thank you, Vignesh. So guys, let me share my screen. Let's spend just a few, I do not want to say seconds, few minutes on product concept. So I want to share my screen, and once it will be possible, you will know how we are doing this. So now, guys, you will see it live. So product concept, yeah. So guys, it's not a concept; it's a real product, yeah. So I want to give you a deep understanding how it works, and then we are going right now in 3 minutes in live demo. So the whole change impact mining is happening actually in 3 steps. Yeah, so 3 major steps. Step number 1 is about learning. We are going to understand all about real executed transactions or SAP in your systems. So this is going to happen during the runtime. In the next step, we are going to analyze these changes with help of KTern. And in the next step, we are going to do some actions. And these actions would be to focus on the test cases which are impacted, which are affected. Okay, so learning phase, it's happening in UiPath Studio. It's where automation is happened. Yeah, so the results of learning phase are collected in the test manager. We will see it everything live. Yeah, once it's done, as I mentioned once more, you will see the changes in KTern. We will analyze fit and gaps for the testing scope, and the action would be to create a test case portfolio with the affected test cases. So tests 20 out of 1,000 test cases put the focus on functionality which is affected, which can be impacted by the change, and then we are going to create a new requirements for the missing test cases in your portfolio. So with this, that's all. As I mentioned, so this is just a concept in 2 seconds. And right now, let's go in the live demo and let's see it live. So first of all, let's see it live. And as you remember, the whole journey is starting in UiPath. In UiPath, I'm going to build my test case. So here you see, I'm going to log into SAP, provide some details, going to VA01. And here I'm going step by step to perform test case execution or test case creation in this case. Yeah. So here at the end of the day, I'm going to press button save. My create sales order is saved. And now I'm performing testing. I want to verify that the status of the message, which is showed in SAP, is as in success. Yeah, I want to put some messages, and this is my verification. So in this case, I'm testing sales order. This sales order is living also in Test Manager. So here in UiPath Test Manager, you will find a set of your test cases, and my test case, this one, test case sales order. Yeah. So this was published. This was published to Orchestrator. So here's the project name and all information. And then you would be able to find this test case also in Test Manager. This is test case number 5. When I'm going inside, I know that it is automated test case. Here you see it was executed in smoke test portfolio. And that's it, what I know about this test case. But I have no idea which transactions are touched during the execution. Yeah, so it means you're starting here from scratch, from zero, empty portfolio. You have just a set of test cases. To understand what is really executed, we are going to run this test case actually in my regression portfolio. I'm going here in my test set, and here I'm going just to execute this test case as usual. And during the first execution, now I put the button execute. During the first execution, we are going to monitor. SAP is actually to understand what is happening, which transactions, once more, which programs are touched during the execution. We will collect this information. So now you see a robot on my machine, which is going to start automation of SAP. So it's going to start in a second. So now you see in background, I'm connecting to SAP logon. We will see in a second. So maybe it's running actually. So here I'm creating a sales order, test case for sales order, entering some details which are needed. Yeah, reference, enter material, quantity, some credit blocks, yeah, billing blocks, all good, all created. I'm going to hit button save. And now the order number is 5920. Yeah. So now this sales order is saved. Execution is finished. Yeah. So I have built the test case and I have run the test case. Okay. Execution is finished. What I see now, so let me go back to Test Manager. So I see that the execution was successful. I see here the results passed. I want actually to understand more. And first, what I see, that this test case got a new assignment. Yeah, during the learning phase, we learned that this test case is touching V01 and program SMP 45A. Yeah, so here the learning phase is finished. Yeah, so we learned that this test case is about to testing V01. When I'm going inside, just as a curiosity, so here you will see the results of verification, as you remember. So here I have my messages, success with a screenshot, with a picture of Vignesh. I see here full log, what has happened. I see here all execution details, on which machine it was executed, the times, and the results was okay. Yeah, so you will find all the information here. And this is, as I mentioned, this is a first step to run my regression portfolio to understand touched, executed real transaction. So with this, let me hand over back to Vignesh. So now we have finished a learning phase. Vignesh, show us what does it mean, analysis, what you know about the change. So
thank you, Liv. Thank you really for actually showing the first step where the test recorders are being captured and the automated test scripts are being captured as part of the UiPath test manager, and the learning process happens. Now, coming on to the second part, like I spoke, the platform is turnkey. That would mean you can connect to your landscape and you can start your analysis to a particular transport request if you would like to have. Now, I've launched one of my workspaces as part of KTern, where I can maintain n number of landscapes which I want to maintain. I've connected to one of the systems which Lev has connected himself to, and he recorded the test case. So I've connected to one of the systems, and with these systems, I'll be able to launch my mine and perform the transport request analysis and the change impact mining. Now, creating a mine is very user intuitive and very simple. All I have to do is click on add a new change impact mine. I can give a name to it. I'll call it Roadshow Demo. And because it is my S4 landscape, let it remain as S4 HANA. And the platform actually requires two landscapes as we spoke about. One is where your development objects lie. That would be a development system, all your transport requests sit. The other one would be your pre-production system, which kind of is similar to that of your production system in terms of business operations and configurations. That will allow the platform to have the insights as accurate as possible. Now, I can connect to my production system or my quality system in this example. Now, the platform by default comes with 6 major bots. The first bot will be the change impact mining bot. The second one will be a technical impact bot, which will talk about your customizations and the impact your transports will have on your customizations. Then you've got the process impact bot, which will talk about your processes. Then we've got the test fit and the test execution bot, which are the coolest features which will help in automating at the entire scope and helping in achieving leaner releases and reducing costs and time. Now, the platform can actually be as autonomous as it can be. By saying so, what I actually mean is that the platform can immediately create a mine whenever there is a change or whenever there is a transport that got released from the development system, or you can look back into a particular release window and execute the mine and look for performance analysis and look for impact analysis. Or maybe you want to look into a particular transport object which is of interest to you, and you can select this particular option, select a date time range, and also prompt whether if you would like to be prompted about the transport which is of interest to you and which you specifically want to learn or do the mining about. With this thing, I can create this mine and this will launch the change impact mine. Yes, the change impact mine has been launched and it will be in progress. While it is in progress, I'll show what exactly happens after a while, because it might take some time depending upon the bandwidth. I've got the second step where it prompts me saying that an action is required. Now, if I open this up, this will tell me what are the sets of transport objects which are present in the connected system for the given period. And I've got the sets of objects which I would like to analyze for the given period, and I can select them the way I really want to have. It can be a workbench request or a customizing request. It doesn't matter. You can have all of them. And I can choose to run this. So when I choose to run this, the platform will start to perform the analysis, and it will look into, it will run those 4 bots, which will help us in making the releases much more seamless. Now, let me launch one of the mines which has been completed. So this mine is a typical business case where the larger number of transports are analyzed. As you could see, these are the 2 major transports which I took up, and the number of objects underneath these transports are pretty huge. So this means these transports could have a very high impact across your business processes. And that is where the change impact analysis starts. So I've got the 4 major areas: the change impact analysis, the technical impact, the process impact, and the test impact. Now, when it comes to the change impact analysis, this is more a high-level overview for your business, for your testing, for your functional, and also for your technical team to look into what are those processes, what are those UI components, what are those test cases that are impacted. I could see here the number of impact these transports have got on my business processes. So I've got around 289 different business process executions, out of which 54 are affected. And I've got a deep dive view by line of business in terms of what those line of businesses are. And I can also have a look into the top impacted business process, which in this case is finance. And I also get to see the low impact, medium impact, high impact, and also the critical impact. On the contrary, I get to see the test cases which I have to focus on. It looks like I've got 12 test cases, and out of which only 3 are the fit, which means I only have to test the 3 test cases which KTern has suggested, and I don't have to think about testing the other 9 test cases. But interestingly, the KTern platform has also suggested I've got around 51 gaps. These mean there are test cases that has to be tested, but the platform could not find the relevant test repository or test execution in my test portfolio. That would mean I can create these 51 gaps as a test requirement, which my testing team and the COE team will automate and enrich my testing portfolio. Thereby, I achieve the automation coverage, and I also increase my automation potential when it comes to releasing transports into my production system. And coming further down, I get to see the top impacted business processes, the stakeholders who are critical in terms of change adoption and user adoption are listed here, so that they can be part of those go and no-go decisions which I was talking about. If I get into the technical impact, I get to see the object-wise impact of these transport objects. Now, I can launch the standard objects and the custom objects, and I get to see the different materiality scores of objects, which could have impact because of the transport which I'm about to release. I can probably get into the critical impact alone and look into the objects which will have definite impact because of the transport movement. Now I get to see the transactions, which are standard, obviously. And the materiality score actually points to the amount of usage your current business is having with respect to this particular business process. And the impact is very critical because there could be n number of changes or n number of transports that could cause a change to this behavior. And I get to see the transport objects, and I get to see the traceability of the impact, which points back to the transport object, which is causing this particular change. And I also get to see the object owners in terms of who they are and what they are, so that I can have them as part of my end user testing or business acceptance testing. Now, the process is more even cooler because I get to go by line of business. I can go into finance, and I can go into the application names, which will get affected because of these changes. I get to see the impact of a particular enter incoming invoice applications as a query, and I get to see that it is more a high level impact, and I get to see the transports which will cause this particular impact. And I also have the owners for this particular application. Now, with this note, you can have a clear picture about custom objects, the standard objects, the processes, the owners, the level of impact, and the impacted object and the usage in the current system. Now, when it comes to the test impact, that's the cooler feature, and I'll allow Lev to take over and show how test impact actually helps in a release. Over to you, Lev.
Thank you, Vignesh. So guys, let me share back my screen. We are here. So, and now we are speaking about test impact. As mentioned before, during the analysis, we will give you a list of impacted transactions, a list of impacted test cases. So this is our test cases of UiPath Test Manager. So, and it means this functionality is impacted by the change. So what I'm going to do, so I have here fits view. I'm going to select all test cases, and here I would create a new test set, which would be our demo set. Let's call it just version 005. Yeah. And with this, I'm creating a new test set, which is containing exactly the set of test cases, which I need to put my focus on when I'm going to UiPath. And here I'm on the picture of test sets. Yeah. So let me refresh the page. You will see immediately there is a new demo test set, which contains exactly a list of test cases which are affected by the change and which now I need to execute. These test cases are available in my portfolio. These test cases are affected. So with this, I have just reduced the whole amount of work from 1,000 test cases just to 3 of them. So this needs to be executed. I'm going to hit button execute and I will run it. So this is the first what we can get out of change impact analysis. The second view is actually a gaps view. So here you see once more a list of transactions, and like quite a lot of them, which are impacted by the change, but they do not have any corresponding test case. So it means I missed this. I was not thinking about it. So this is for me actually a new requirement. This what needs to be automated. What I'm going to do, I'm going to grab all of them, or just for our demo purpose, let me grab just 5 of them. Yeah. So for these test cases, or for this functionality, I would need to have a new test case. So for me, it's a new requirement. Let's call it also new requirement version 005 as before. Yeah. I'm going to create a new requirement. So when I'm going back to test manager under requirements, here I see there is a new requirement. So it means this is a missing functionality. This is a gap in my regression portfolio. I'm going in. I see here some description. And here I see that a new test cases were created. So here you see there is no automation available. So guys, it means it's time to automate, and the journey begins from the beginning. Yeah. So I'm going to my studio. I'm going to create a new test case. So create test case, and here I'm going to test functionality FB50, whatever it was. Yeah. So, and here we are back in the learning phase. Here we are back in the automation phase. Yeah. So with this approach, we have just covered the whole scenario. You have seen learning, you have seen analysis, and the last piece was actually an action to create a test case for the functionality which impacted and create a missing portfolio for the requirements. So, and now let's give you some ideas what benefits are coming with this solution. And we got even a few questions also in Q&A to this topic. So we are going to answer this actually now. Yeah. So Vignesh, back to you. What are the benefits?
All right. So when I have to talk about the benefits, the first and foremost thing is that I can have a complete control over what gets released from my transport, in the transport pipeline from my development system. So there is a clear clarity in terms of digitizing my entire releases or planning my entire release, scheduling it, and having a precise plan in terms of analysis, in terms of the impact it has. Number two, I can invite my business and the top stakeholders to a particular release, regarding a particular release, and have them part of my entire landscape. That would allow me to make sure I satisfy my business the right way. And more importantly, I can, at any point in time, I can go up, open up the platform, create a mind, look into a particular transport, and understand what is the impact or how risky a particular transport request is. And most of all, with as you saw on the dashboard, where I can analyze a particular transport and it will provide me the bunch of stakeholders who are getting affected. That way, from the end user perspective up until my business process owner, I'll be able to build a hierarchy that will allow me to take go and no-go decisions. And most of all, I've got everything in a single place. All my transport requests that are getting affected, I've got the owners, I've got the stakeholders, I've got the technical team, I've got the functional team, and I've got the testing team too. That would mean I can accelerate the change management, and I don't have to think about handing it off from an issue management tool to a test management tool to a release automation tool and some certain bunch of Excel sheets. All of it can happen in one single place. And release audit and governance is one major aspect when it comes to releases, because one might have to comply with the norms in terms of the quality of the testing, in terms of coverage of test cases. With what you just saw, it is very possible that you achieve 100% quality, and you could also be reducing 2/3 of your time involved in your testing, because you're just focusing on the test cases that need to be tested, and you're reducing your IT costs. And most of all, I spoke about the time, scope, and quality. You'll be able to achieve a balance of time, scope, and quality in your further releases with this platform solution. If you go on to the next slide, how is this different? And okay, just another change management or release intelligence? Not really. The vision here is to make it very simple, very seamless, and very cognitive. The demo which you saw took up a traditional SAP landscape, inserted this turnkey package into the landscape, and it tried to automate the release analysis, and there's collaboration that goes on, and there is process mining that happens in the backend, so that it will allow you to provide certain specific analysis on what are the processes and what are the rights of all this getting affected. You've got all the stakeholders involved in a typical release. You've got the technical, the functional, and the testing. And when it comes to process, you've got how critical a particular process is. That depends upon the actual usage in the production system and who are the end users who are getting affected. And overall, when it comes to the experience, I did not install any of the probes or plugins, and these can happen in the span of minutes to hours. And I don't need any consultant for me to get this configured and going, and there were no Excel sheets involved. So that's something which is out of the world, and that's something which we are trying to democratize as part of SAP landscapes. Over to you, Lev, to continue on the other benefits.
Yes, sure. And why you should care? Yeah. So now I'm going to speak about UiPass platform, and this was also some of the questions in Q&A. Yeah. So what is the difference? Why UiPass and not other tools? What is unique, guys? The topic is here that we can automate across any UI or API technology. Yeah. So as of today, we are covering more than 190 technologies. So it means whatever application is running on your system, so, and we are not speaking only about SAP, we are speaking about any kind of application running on your machine, we can automate, we can perform testing. Yeah? So it's a mobile automation, test automation, it's API testing, it's web testing, whatever is running on your machine. Yeah. So here, to the topic of security, so our platform, I mean UiPass platform, is Veracode certified. We know all about users, we have auditing reports, we have role management, all your credentials are security stored. It's fit in your current landscape. So we can integrate, as I have shown before, the test manager slide. Yeah. So UiPass Test Suite is integrated in your current and existing IT landscape. Jira, Solution Manager, you remember the stuff. Yeah. It's source controlled. Yeah. It's CI/CD pipeline. Everything in one single platform. And it's also about to learn about UiPass, to learn how to work with this. So today we have a forum with 100,000 of users. We have more than 1 million certified users on UiPass. Yeah. And there is a marketplace with almost once more 1,000 of pre-built and ready to go components and workflows all around. Yeah. So this is a platform big picture overview what we can offer to the customers. And now before Q&A, and once more, a lot of questions, goodies, guys. After the webinar, you will get an access to ebook speaking about, guess what? Release change impact. Yeah. So we would be able to set up a one-on-one session with you to show you exactly live the platform, to show you how it works, to discuss with, once more, one-to-one with you what are the challenges, how we can solve it. Yeah. And yes, you can have a demo access. And do not forget, you will get the recording. Okay. So this is a goodies which we are going to offer you after this webinar. So now, poll number 2. So Jacob, so the question is, how much do you think this solution, what we have presented, is solving the challenges you have in your SAP releases? Yeah. So what do you think? What are your thoughts about what you have just seen? Yeah. And right after this poll, in 10 seconds, we are going to answer Q&A live. So Vignesh, I'm going to read it, and so answer them. That so we will decide who will jump on this, and that we will have an interaction. Okay, guys. So then let's close the poll, and let's go into Q&A. So my first question, Vignesh, to you would be, based on what I have seen, I'm wondering if there are any time constraints in terms of analyzing the transport requests.
All right. Right off the bat, talking about time. So of course, this totally depends upon the number of transports you're dealing with and the size of each of those transports. So that could be the only time constraint when it comes to analyzing these transport requests. And there's not much of restriction in terms of number of hours spent in terms of analyzing. There's unlimited amount of hours when it comes to analyzing these transport requests. So you have no restriction in terms of analyzing these. So it just depends upon the size and the number of transports which you want to analyze at a given point in time. That's the only time element involved in these change impact mines. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Sounds good for me. The similar question, or going in the same direction, how long does it take to set up actually the whole platform?
All right. I mean, to be honest, it just takes as long as it took for me to take up a landscape, a plain landscape, and I try to connect the platform into that particular landscape and have UiPath attached to it and run this analysis. So I mean, give me like 15 to 30 minutes and you'll have it up and running in your landscape too. So it's that easy and that simple when it comes to how long it takes.
Yes, let me extend on this, guys. And this was other question. So is this a cloud platform? Yes, this is a cloud platform. You are running KTern in the cloud. UiPass is also available in the cloud and also on premise, as you like. Yeah. So it means the time of setup, it's a matter of configuration of API call to get a secret key and provide the username. Yeah. So here, as Vignesh mentioned, we are speaking about amount of time, I don't know, like 30 minutes, 1 hour. Yeah. And you would need just to have the right SAP authorization to connect to your SAP system. Yeah. So this is not a matter of even a days. Okay. Okay. So now is a question. In case it's a cloud platform, how it is secure? Do you have something written on this? So Vignesh, question to you.
Oh yes, definitely. Like I started before, KTern is a SAP validated platform. That means we are validated by SAP and we have to comply with what SAP defines as norms when it comes to connecting to an SAP system. And like I mentioned, this being a cloud is, if that could be a constraint, there are VPG models available on demand where a customer or anybody who wants to use this platform can have it within their own landscape. And the platform can only connect if it is within the network firewall. That would assure you the connectivity and the data residency or the data in transit, and all that would mean we got it certified and we got it compliant when it comes to reading ERP data. And like I mentioned, we are an SAP validated platform available as part of SAP Store.
Okay, great. So it looks like we have still a few minutes. So let me grab the next one. How it is differentiate compared to SAP automation test tool? Yeah. So we discussed it also shortly before. So UiPass, it's a much bigger platform. Yeah. So one answer would be it's not only about test automation, it's also about robotic, it's also about data management, it's also about discovery. Yeah. And if I'm going to think about test automation tool, then it was exactly this picture. Yeah. Completely certified platform from security point of view, integrated in ALM tools, supporting automation across UI and API. So this is the main differentiator in comparison to other tools. Okay. So, and guys, with this, I think we are coming to the end of the webinar. So from this point of view, let me thank you everyone for participation. Let me thank you for your, for listening to us. Hope you have heard a good time and you learned a lot. So Vignesh, back to you. Last words.
All right, Lev, thank you so much. There are a few questions which are unanswered, but we will make sure they are answered over email and they get the relevant answers and responses to each of those questions. In order to respect the time, we would like to close the webinar. I hope you guys had a good time, and until we catch up again with another webinar, but yeah, more probably having a better experience in terms of showing this entire flow. Maybe there was an outrage happening, just like how Slack happened yesterday. Maybe that's exactly how it is. So we'll catch up soon, and we will see you guys in another webinar. Bye bye. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye bye.